It was a cold winter morning when the animal rescue team received the call that would change a horse's life forever. The call came from a remote stretch of land in the hills, a place where the local wildlife thrived and where, unfortunately, some people abandoned their animals. The report was simple: someone had found a horse barely alive in a ravine. The animal appeared to be on the brink of death, left there to die by the very people who were supposed to care for it. The horse had been left to perish in the harshest conditions. His coat was thin and matted, his ribs clearly visible beneath his fur. He had no strength left in his body, and his eyes were sunken, filled with despair. There were no signs of any kind of care or attention, just a broken spirit and an animal that had been cast aside as though he didn't matter. The team knew they had to act fast. Time was running out for the horse, and if they didn't get to him quickly, they feared they might arrive too late. With urgency in their movements, the rescue team headed into the wild terrain, making their way through thick woods and uneven ground. The journey was tough, but they knew they had no choice but to press on. The horse's life depended on it. When they finally reached the ravine where the horse had been found, the sight that greeted them was heartbreaking. The animal lay there, too weak to stand, his body covered in a layer of dirt and debris. His breathing was shallow and his eyes glazed over, staring into nothingness. The rescue workers approached carefully, not wanting to startle him. They had seen many cases of animals in distress, but this was different. This horse had given up on life. But the team wasn't about to give up on him. With great care, they gently lifted the horse onto a stretcher, using all their strength and skill to transport him back to their vehicle. It was a delicate operation, and every moment felt like a battle against time. They rushed him back to the Animal Rescue Center, where a team of vets was ready to assess his condition. The situation was dire. The horse was severely malnourished, dehydrated, and suffering from untreated injuries. His body was too weak to support him, but there was still a flicker of life in his eyes. The vet immediately began to work on stabilizing the horse, administering fluids and nutrients to get him back on track. It was touch and go for the first few days. There were moments when it seemed like he wouldn't pull through. But the horse, who had been named Apollo by the rescue team, was a fighter. He refused to give in even when his body seemed to betray him. Day by day, Apollo grew stronger, his body beginning to recover from the ravages of neglect and abuse. As the weeks passed, Apollo's health improved. He gained weight, his coat began to shine, and the light returned to his eyes. But there was something more that was happening. Apollo wasn't just physically healing, he was beginning to trust again. He was learning that not all humans were to be feared, that there was kindness and care in the world. Every time one of the workers at the rescue center came to visit him, he would nuzzle them gently, a small gesture that showed his gratitude. It was as if he knew he was safe now, that his suffering was finally over. The team was amazed at Apollo's resilience. Horses, like many animals, are known for their strength and determination, but Apollo's will to live seemed almost supernatural. They were astonished to see how quickly he bounced back. His spirit was just as strong as his body, and it was clear that he had a future ahead of him. But what kind of future would that be? As Apollo grew healthier, the rescue team began to think about his future. They knew he deserved more than to simply live out his days at the shelter. Apollo had been through so much, and now that he had a second chance at life, they wanted to give him the opportunity to live a life full of purpose and happiness. They started to look for a suitable home for him, a place where he could not only receive love and care but also fulfill his potential. It wasn't long before a couple, Emma and James, came to the rescue center looking for a horse. They had heard about Apollo's incredible journey and were moved by his story. Emma and James had a farm on the outskirts of town, and they had been looking for a horse to join their family. When they saw Apollo, they knew instantly that he was the one. There was something about him, a quiet strength in his eyes, a spirit that shone through despite everything he had been through. Emma and James immediately fell in love with Apollo. They weren't looking for a perfect horse. They were looking for a companion, someone who had been through hardship but had the heart and spirit to overcome it. And Apollo had all of that and more. After discussing it with the rescue team, Emma and James decided to adopt him, and within days Apollo was settling into his new home. The transformation was remarkable. Apollo, once a broken and abandoned animal, was now in a place where he was loved and respected. He had a large pasture to roam in, fresh food to eat, and the companionship of other animals. The couple was committed to giving him the best life possible. They spent every day working with him, helping him build his confidence and learn to trust again. The bond between Apollo and his new owners grew stronger with each passing day. As time went on, Apollo flourished. His coat became shiny and thick and his body grew strong. But there was something more. He had a natural grace and agility that surprised everyone. Emma, who had experience with horses, began to work with Apollo on basic training. She noticed how quickly he picked up new skills, how willing he was to learn. Apollo, it seemed, had a hidden talent. With patience and dedication, Emma and Apollo began to work on more advanced training. Apollo's natural abilities as a horse began to shine through. He was swift, powerful, and graceful, with a strength that made him stand out from the other horses at the farm. It wasn't long before Emma decided to take Apollo to local competitions. At first, it was just for fun, an opportunity to show off the horse who had come so far. But to everyone's surprise, Apollo quickly became a force to be reckoned with. He excelled in every competition he entered, from jumping to dressage, his athleticism leaving the judges and spectators in awe. Apollo's rise to fame as a competitive horse was nothing short of incredible. The horse who had been abandoned to die in the wild was now becoming a champion in the equestrian world. People couldn't believe the story of his transformation, from a weak, abandoned animal to a show-stopping athlete. Apollo's success at competitions only further solidified the bond between him and Emma, who was proud of how far they had come together. Years passed, and Apollo continued to win competitions, earning ribbons and accolades for his remarkable performances. But for Emma and James, Apollo's greatest achievement wasn't his success in the arena, it was the love and trust he had given them. They had witnessed his incredible transformation, from a horse on the verge of death to a champion who had found his place in the world. Apollo had not only survived, he had thrived. He had become more than just a horse. He had become a symbol of hope and resilience, showing the world that no matter how difficult life may get, there is always the possibility of healing, growth, and greatness. Apollo's story continues to inspire everyone who hears it. The horse who was left to die in the wild has become a beacon of strength, proving that with love, care, and patience, even the most broken souls can find their way back to happiness. Apollo's journey is a reminder that no matter the struggles or hardships we face, there is always the chance for a new beginning, and sometimes that new beginning leads to something truly extraordinary. And so, Apollo's story remains a testament to the power of resilience, love, and second chances. He is no longer just a horse. He is a champion, an inspiration, and a beloved member of a family who gave him the life he always deserved. His journey has shown that even in the face of abandonment and despair, there is always hope for a brighter future.